Good morning.
Look at that. Isn't that lovely?
How sweet is that? I mean, that's proper Sunday morning feeling, isn't it? Kind of snuggled in, getting nestled in, the turn around.
Look, Fasto. Absolute Fasto. Look at those eyes squeezed tightly shut. I wish mine was squeezed tightly shut.
Yeah.
I've been unsqueezed tightly shut since about, I don't know, 6:14, I think it was. 6:14, Nancy jumped on my head. There we are. Nancy the poodle jumped on my head, 6:14. Look at that. This is Kate Mcrae's wildlife camera. She's got a tawny owl nest. I think it's the first time she's had this, actually.
Yeah, I haven't seen tawny owl. I've seen barn owl before.
Yeah.
She's had some activity already with barn owls this year, but yeah, I haven't seen her
so
tawny.
I think this is a new one, tawny. Look at that. Beautiful bird. Absolutely stunning.
It's really nice, isn't it, to get them to see them when they're sleeping like that, when they're really kind of totally at ease.
Yeah, down in that box that she's custom built, of course, camera there. Nice lighting, beautiful colours on that bird.
It's stunning, isn't it?
Wonder how many eggs.
Do you know, I think there's at least 2.
Must be 2. They sometimes lay up to 4, don't they?
She moved, or he moved around then.
Yeah.
And definitely got a glimpse of, I think, at least 2. So I have to keep an eye. I just want to keep an eye on, and of course you can keep up with Wildlife Kate on her webcams online. Quite
early in the year as well. It's early March, isn't it? When you see, when I were a kid, I want to start going on. Here we go. All right, when I were a kid, tawny owls would lay later in the month. We always used to sort of start looking for them in about, late March, really. So they've advanced, just as all the tit species have advanced in their laying time. So have the tawny owl.
Moving it up a bit.
So she's down there on eggs already. Because I don't want to sort of brag or anything.
There we go.
I got 4 tawny owl boxes from Raptor Aid from their eBay site. All charity, all monies go to Raptor Aid. The wonderful Jimmy at Raptor Aid. Fantastic nest boxes they made. Treated timber, painted silver on top to keep the rain out.
Yeah.
They came in a natural wood colour. I got some Dulux weather shield out and painted mine black. And if you look,
you did.
There's one there. Look, one there.
I know. I had to hold the ladder whilst you climbed up those trees. It was pretty treacherous. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I've got 4.
No, I see.
Four here.
I see.
And the owls are still hooting. I'm going to have to go out with the old thermal camera and see.
Yeah, they were going out last night actually.
Were they?
Going to sleep with a hooting.
Well, if they're still hooting around here, maybe they've moved into boxes. I mean, you might be asking why I don't know. And the simple reason is I didn't want to disturb them after putting the boxes up.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get the thermal camera out maybe tonight, because anything, is going to show up here very thermal tonight, because at the moment it's -1.
Yeah. So of course we've changed the time of our broadcast. Normally we're at 6 p.m. on a Sunday, but considering spring is really springing, the daffodils are out, the sunshine. I woke up this morning because we decided to come outside for the first time in what feels like a very, very long time, which was super lovely. But we came out to frost on the ground. So Fabian, thanks very much for your idea to come outside, because spring has sprung, because we are wrapped up.
According to Dark Skies, it's -1 here in the New Forest at the moment, hence the volume of clothing that we're wearing.
But to be fair, there is a bird feeder behind us, so hopefully you're seeing a bit of activity going on. So it's a bit better than our kitchen walls.
Yeah. Oh, it's much better than the bland kitchen.
It is. We don't mind wrapping up warm.
Anyway, listen, before we go on, obviously we've got to talk about this. There's not a lot there at the moment. Have a little look at the side. So this was last night.
I'm not saying anything.
Obviously, hairdressers are closed, so it's another home job from Megan.
Yeah, so I've been cutting your hair quite a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm not bad at hairdressing.
Well, hold on. I think we should let the viewers make an assessment.
I'm not normally, considering you've had, that looks like that you've glued that on. Gelled it on wrong. It looks like it's a patch.
I've gelled it on.
You've gelled
There's hardly anything there to gel.
Styled it wrong. You said you wanted it short, and ultimately, right? No one else can do it, and I just use scissors. And I used to cut a lot of hair. Ish.
Yeah. Well, you cut a lot of hair last night. I saw most of it was on the kitchen floor.
Yeah, yesterday I cut a chunk out, so he's got a chunk missing on the side of his head. And only afterwards did he tell me later on this week he's got filming to go and do.
Anyway, it'll grow back. We've got a good little hour coming up for you this morning. We've got an excellent film from Matthew Gould about a small cove and all of the creatures that live there. Everything from amphipods to the much understated and underrated rock pipit as well. Really good to hear that. And all the way from South Africa, our live guest this morning is Neville Ngomane, who is a young wildlife photographer out there. In fact, he's more than that. He
Yeah.
was Young Environmental Wildlife Photographer of the year 2019. He's a man with a message, very concerned about the plight of Africa's wildlife. And more recently, he's part of that new Big Five initiative to look at a new Big Five. So the Big Five obviously were sort of defined by trophy hunters, the old colonial trophy hunters. And the Big Five were buffalo, elephant, rhino, lion, and presumably leopard. Yeah. And they were the things that they wanted to go out and kill. But obviously we're hoping to put an end to that insidious practice as quickly as possible. So the new Big Five is looking for a global set of mammals. So it's not just African, but global, terrestrial mammals. And they're asking photographers all over the world to send in photos of these. Neville is one of those. And the idea is that we collectively vote for a new Big Five, which we photograph and don't shoot, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that idea, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, it's a similar thing, going out and finding the animal, you still get the thrill of it. You don't need to damage it, do you? Take a great photo, have, you know, friendly competitions.
Exactly.
And the best bit is when you go back next year, the same animals will be there and you can do it all over again.
Anyway, Neville's in South Africa. He's got a T-shirt on.
Yeah, I know.
We're
looking at Neville smiling right now, and he's got a nice T-shirt on in the nice warm parts.
We were speaking earlier. He made a comment. It's about the end of winter, and he said things are getting a bit chilly, probably down to low 30s or something like that. Anyway, Neville coming up later is great, fantastic. That's a real privilege to have him on the show, which is good.
We've got lots of you watching as well, though. Lots of everyone tuning in from all over the world again. So thank you very much for spending your Sunday morning or afternoon, wherever you happen to be in your time zone. So we've got Richard from Rainsworth, Neville from Chichester, Tina from Diss, waiting for her breakfast in bed.
Oh, hey.
We would promise tofu scramble on toast. No,
that's not going to happen.
Yeah,
it's not.
Charlotte, Chris's partner, promised us breakfast this morning, so I'll be looking forward to that when the
scrambled
podcast
tofu.
Ends. Scrambled tofu.
Can you see? Look, everything really busy in the kitchen, isn't it?
I think she's still in bed. Oh well. We've got Guta in South Germany, Mike in South Africa, David from France, Lapland are watching.
Lapland.
People from Lapland. We've got Steve in Prague and Sarah.
Prague, I've always wanted to go.
I love Prague.
You've been to Prague,
I've been
haven't
to
you?
Prague.
See, I've always wanted to go to Prague.
Yeah, it's a very, very beautiful place.
Yeah.
You'd love it.
I know.
The architecture,
I know.
everything.
I love all that architecture. And there's a church that I'd like to go there where there was a very famous event took place in the Second World War.
Go on.
Well, I don't want to get into it, but
no.
A terrible man called Heydrich was assassinated in Prague, and there was a siege in a church there. I've always wanted to go and see it.
I went to see it.
Yeah, I know, because I told you.
Yeah, you told me about it.
It's a remarkable story, very sad, tragic, one of course, countless tragic stories from the Second World War. Anyway, I've always wanted to go.
Anyway.
Sorry, digress.
After COVID. Yeah. We've got Anita in Victoria in Australia, all the way around. But
Australia?
No, we've been complaining about the cold. Sarah is in Vermont.
Oh, yes.
Where it's -8. And also she's watching us at 4 a.m.
Oh, Sarah. Well, firstly, thank you very much for getting
Hats off.
Hats off. And we it's lovely here. Oh, man,
it's tropical. It's tropical.
How dare we talk about -1 when it's -8 in Vermont? Vermont's nice as well. I have been to Vermont.
I haven't been.
Very beautiful part of the United States. Great in the fall. The fall colours in Vermont are something to behold, I've got to say. Really, really good. Okay. What about
we love watching, of course, all of your photos and videos as they come into our Facebook group, and we're of course watching and analysing that a lot.
Paul Goldstein sent us something, hasn't he?
Paul Goldstein has sent us something.
I think Paul Goldstein was our guest last week from Masai Mara in Kenya, and he showed us some of his photographs. I mean, they were okay. A couple of them, I mean, they were right. I mean, some of them were okay.
Yeah, if I'm forced to look at them, I will.
Yeah.
Of course, Paul's our friend, and it's all friendly kind of competition.
Well, it's sort of friendly, anyway, he showed us some of his excellent photographs, and also made a lovely film. Really, really lovely film. Anyway, he's still been out and about. Have a look at this. The lions have been roaring.
Look at those cubs.
I know.
I mean, amazing sound. A lion roaring is just iconic. It's one of those sounds that just goes all the way through your body. When you're next to a lion and it roars, it just goes
such
all
low frequency.
the way through.
Goes for miles, up to sort of 7 miles, I think, across the open plains of Africa there.
Something.
Thing is, that was on a mobile phone.
Yeah.
They were walking right past his vehicle. Not that we were envious, because we had a grey squirrel run past us earlier, and as it went by, it sort of went beep, 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 like that. Rapidly pursued by a poodle. Glad to know the score so far is 321-0.
Yeah.
So the squirrels are winning 321-0. That's the efficacy of the poodle hunting in the garden.
Yeah, the poodles aren't really like bothered, are they?
Well, they try really hard, but there's but you know, they're thwarted by the arboreal abilities of the grey squirrel.
Yeah.
Anyway,
The Armada.
Fantastic.
Squirrels.
Thank you, Paul, for sending us that. It's made us all very envious of your time. Paul is still out there in the Masai Mara at Kachechi camp, and do check out their website. He does a spot of the week where he puts one of his OK photos up and writes a missive about it. Always worth subscribing to that, and you can do that on the Kachechi website. It's in a very beautiful part of Africa, absolutely stuffed with wildlife. I've never been anywhere where there's been so much wildlife in such a diversity. It's thick. I tell you, you'd love to go there. Neville.
Yes.
Neville would love Paul's place. He'd absolutely love it. He'd get himself up there. Invite himself up to Paul's place. We'll talk to him about that a bit later on. Anyway, we've also had a swan.
We've also had a swan. Now, this has been really loved on our Facebook group. There's been lots of beautiful videos of swans. It seems that everyone's out going to the waterways, the freshwater ecosystems, and seeing what they can see. And typically the swans are out and about in force. I was actually with swans yesterday. I was with about 20 of them.
With swans?
Yeah, I was with loads of swans yesterday. Anyway,
swans.
Have a little look at this. This was sent in to us by Gary Saunders on the SIBC Facebook group. Chris hasn't seen that clip before. That was the first time that he's seen it. And his reaction.
Absolutely outstanding. Gary Saunders, you say?
Yes.
Hats off, Gary. That's a fantastic piece of slow-mo swan landing in the
You
mist.
don't normally like slow-mo.
I don't.
Either.
I know. I'm not massively into slow-mo. I get fed up with the way every single natural history film now films all the wildlife at 60 frames, i.e. slow motion. I think there's whole generations of young people going to grow up thinking that, wildlife moves slowly. All those sort of, birds sort of flapping like Gary's swan there, like this.
Yeah, but it does work. It's quite beautiful.
Do you know why it is?
Why?
It's because the cameramen, right, they like to extend their shots. So if they film it in real time, a shot will only last for like 4 seconds.
You're giving away the secret.
As it skips across the frame. And they think, oh, well, no, I'm not going to get paid for that. No one's going to like that. If I run it at 60 frames, then it'll last for 8 seconds and they'll be able to use it. So it seems everything on TV, every owl, every squirrel, every shrew,
every poodle,
everything is just in slow motion. I say there's a lot of young people going to be brought up on a diet of that. They're going to go out and they're going to think, blimey, that wildlife's fast, isn't it? Hey? I've never seen wildlife going like that before. Honestly. So, yes, but nevertheless, Gary, that was absolutely
gorgeous, wasn't it?
Very beautiful. That was worth getting up for.
That was very much worth getting up. Imagine that as like a photograph, getting down to its level.
Yeah.
With the mist and that. Yeah.
Superb.
I'd be out every day trying to get a good photo.
The sun was in a nice place. Swan came to a standstill. It was choreographed. Needed a bit of Tchaikovsky there. I think.
Right.
I could never really say that particularly well. Yeah, he composed the music for Swan Lake, obviously the ballet, Tchaikovsky. Yeah. Fabe should have been on that. I don't know what he was thinking.
Fabian the composer.
Fabe the composer. Well.
Fabian, so you can't hear Fabian, but he just came to us
to say. He's just saying he did put some music on it, or there was music on it, but it wasn't Tchaikovsky, I don't think.
And it wasn't composed by Fabian.
Anyway, look, listen, no, it wasn't Fabian the composer. He composes a lot, Fabian.
He does.
But it's not ballet scores.
You have to watch a previous episode to kind of understand what we're about. On to the quiz.
Yeah.
So yesterday I had a couple of days out. At the moment I've been working on a project where I have been as a poodle. Which poodle? That's Sid. That's Sid Vicious, the poodle.
There is there, look. Oh, well, that's a great cameo moment, that wasn't it?
He did that on purpose. He's not very happy with us at the moment because he hasn't been out for his morning walk, so he keeps coming and nudging us.
Yeah.
yesterday, so I'm normally working on a project at the moment, which is very much behind the laptop, behind the computer, and I am loving it, really loving doing it. And there'll be more news about that very soon. But yesterday I took a couple of days out. Well, I took a couple of hours out because the sun was shining and it was really beautiful. So I went down to Hurst Spit, which is a very, very beautiful place, kind of in the New Forest.
Napoleonic Castle on the end.
Yeah.
Do you want to get into the history?
Go on.
No, that's all right.
So you walk down this beautiful spit and you've got this kind of reservoir on the left-hand side and the ocean on the right, and then you walk along this spit and you get to this beautiful castle, and there's lots of great wildlife, lots of great bird life going there. And I went for a walk with a friend, and she found this, which is today's quiz. Now, it is tricky. Now, you probably get what it is from the shape of it, but to give you a clue...
Turn it around, please.
That's what I'm doing.
Give everyone a chance.
So I found it on a beach.
I'm absolving of any responsibility.
Chris
is too difficult.
Chris said it was too difficult and that we shouldn't have it as this quiz. And I thought, we've got to challenge ourselves. So you have to kind of guess what animal group this is from. Have a look at the side of it there. Yeah. Have a good look. You can see that it's got lots of holes in, for very good reason, on the side. So I found it on a beach.
Yeah. In the south of England.
In the south of England, and it's porous. It's got lots of kind of holes in, for various different reasons.
It might have been more useful if you'd have found the item on the right. Because that could have contributed towards your
a form of currency.
£2.50, Mr. Whippy.
Yes, this was the other thing that we were shocked at. We went to a Mr. Whippy van. Obviously, you expect 99p. It's gone up in price. It's like the new Freddo, the 99p. What? It's £2. Well, Freddo was 10p, wasn't it? And then it went up in price, and now it's something extortionate, like £50. But it is really good chocolate.
What is Freddo?
It's a little chocolate bar.
Is it?
Yeah, it's a little
frozen
chocolate bar. No.
What?
It's a Freddo. It's like in the shape of a frog.
Yeah.
And it's like a little chocolate bar that you can go buy. And used to go for like 10p.
What?
Yeah. I used to buy it for 10p. It was like a cheap chocolate bar.
It's going straight over my head, that one. Anyway, yeah.
Do you genuinely not know what a Freddo is?
No, I don't know what a Freddo is.
You must know what a Freddo is.
I've got other things to worry about.
Oh, well, you should also add the inflation price of Freddos onto that list.
I'm into the samurai at the moment, 1551.
No, it's all about the Freddo and the Mr. Whippy.
Yeah.
That's the
reunification of Japan in the 1500s.
You worry about that, and I'll worry about the important stuff like Mr. Whippy.
Right, listen, anyway. There's a lot of banter this morning.
Oh, because we haven't done it first thing in the morning for a while, so it's...
Matthew Gould, someone you know.
Matt Gould.
Matt,
yeah,
okay.
He's a very good friend of mine, and like it is common these days, it's a group of like wildlife enthusiasts, wildlife filmmakers, wildlife presenters, and we all know each other via social media. So I started speaking to Matt. God, it must be a couple years now, or at least, it must be a couple years ago. And we started talking about the things that he's doing. He's a really fantastic YouTuber. So he makes videos for YouTube called Out and About, which is a series where he goes out and about exploring these different environments, and he has guests coming on. And so I'd only spoken to him on social media before, but his grandparents live in the New Forest where I am. So probably about this time last year, perhaps, he was coming over and he said it'd be great to meet up and go to the New Forest. So I met Matt in a dark car park at about 4 in the morning for the first time. And we went...
Keep it, straight. Could be male journalists watching this, Got enough problems as it is.
No, it was fine. I've known Matt for ages. It was fine. And we met up, and you can see that video on his YouTube channel. And we went and I took him around the New Forest. He thought I, would be the perfect guide. In fact, I got us very lost because I have no sense of direction. And we went around and we saw tree creepers, lots of lovely different things. So Matt is a fantastic, very talented filmmaker, and he has done a very beautiful film for us.
About a little cove.
Yeah.
And everything lives there, including, as I said before, the understated and underrated.
Understated and underrated.
What Pippet?
So take it away, Matt.
At first glance, this little beach seems empty. Though if you wander down to the water's edge and take a closer look, you'll realise that's far from the case. Rock pippets. These charismatic little birds spend the majority of their day in amongst the rocks and seaweed of this well-hidden cove. It has everything this small group needs: a freshwater stream for taking a quick dip and helping to keep feathers in tip-top condition, shelter from the elements, and, most importantly, a reliable food source. Rock pipits aren't fussy eaters and will happily pick off a multitude of different invertebrates as they sweep across the beach. More often than not, they're joined in this feast by the likes of turnstones, wagtails and gulls, to name just a few. All of whom are well aware that the best prizes can be found along the tide line in amongst the seaweed left by the retreating tide. So why is there such an abundance of food here? Well, if we leave dry land behind and fast forward a few hours, it all starts to become clear. As the tide slowly rises, life beneath the waves is also granted access to this all-you-can-eat buffet. Invertebrates and other tasty morsels are churned up by the waves and quickly consumed by shoals of small fish. Of course, with all this commotion, these shoals soon find themselves on the menu, as they're joined by larger, more predatory fish. And perhaps predictably, marine mammals like this grey seal aren't far behind. Though, with all this going on beneath the waves, if you're small, like these tiny amphipods, then a rising tide is something to be feared. So, they do their best to outrun it, a seemingly impossible task. Luckily though, they have a trick up their sleeve. They jump. The sheer volume of amphipods doing this at once helps to provide safety in numbers, and is seemingly overwhelming for some rock pipits. Though not all of them. The ocean's rising and falling tides help to provide a vital supply of nutrients to this ecosystem. A constant cycle that never stops, which keeps this little beach and many others like it bursting with life.
What a beautiful film.
Beautiful film, but
Yeah.
slow-mo at the end there. Did you see that?
I like a bit of slow-mo.
Time-lapse?
Yes. Love a time-lapse
All
too.
the ingredients there, I'd say.
All the ingredients.
Including the little sandhoppers. I love that. That was my favourite bit, was the sandhoppers hopping past the rock pipit. Basically, it was feasting on them. Gammerous, those sandhoppers, little detritivores on the beach. Millions, zillions of them, providing food for all of those shoreline birds like turnstones.
Yeah.
Well, pretty much everything there was eating those sandhoppers, I imagine.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It's great. You can go and follow Matt on YouTube. Have a look at his channel. He's got loads of amazing content on there. He's always out doing things and exploring. And he is very, very knowledgeable when it comes to cameras and photography. He knows everything techie about them.
Techie.
He's very techie with the cameras. Very, very techie. I learned a lot from him when I was out and about. So you can follow him on social media too and ask him some tech questions. He
sort of points him in the right place and pushes a button at the right time too.
He can do that too. Yeah.
You know,
he can do that too.
In my opinion, it's sort of more important than the techie
well,
stuff.
It's still good to know everything.
How it works, but you got to still put it in the right point, in the right direction.
Yeah, which he's very talented
which he clearly has done. But listen, our next guest has been doing that as well, which is fantastic stuff. We're very pleased to welcome Neville Ngomane from South Africa. Neville's with us this morning. He was voted, as I mentioned in the introduction, as Young Environmental Photographer of the Year in 2019. Good morning, Neville, from what is no doubt outside your room there, a very sunny South Africa.
Good morning. Hi, how are you guys?
Well, we've been complaining about the cold, as you've heard, and envious of your warmth outside. But anyway, it's as you might know, it's a very British habit to talk about the weather the whole time,
right?
Because it's so changeable here. That's why, because it's so changeable. But we're not going to talk about that. We want to talk about yourself and your photographic work. Can we start with Young Wildlife Photographer, Environmental Photographer of the Year, and that remarkable photograph that you took of the rhino? Tell us a bit about that.
Well, with the picture, the goal was to share the message to the world and tell people how we need to save our rhinos. I mean, in South Africa, we had that desperate measure that we had to take. We had to do dehorning, and all thanks to Wild Shots, I got the opportunity to take that picture. And I can tell you, with the picture, my goal was to show the message outside there that we need to save our rhinos. As we can see, there's less elephants right now and rhinos. So if we can stand together, all of us, and try and save them, I think that would be a good idea.
Absolutely.
I mean, those are pretty sort of grueling scenes that you're witnessing there, Neville. I mean, how did that make you feel, that dehorning one of our friends, Michaela Strachan's been, she's in South Africa too, and she attended one of those events, and it was quite an emotional thing, she told us.
Yeah, yes, it is. Hey, I mean, you are there, you watch the animal being dehorned. It's kind of sad. You feel like, they're kind of hitting the animal, but on the other side, they're trying to save the animal from being poached. So yeah, I had like mixed emotions while I was there. I don't want to lie. It's just something else. We're trying to save it. At the same time, you feel like you're hurting it,
Yeah, it's really tricky. It's two sides of a coin, isn't it? In order to save something, you're having to remove, one of its most charismatic, beautiful parts. It's I can't imagine actually being there and seeing that. It must have been really tough, but amazing that you're taking these photos to raise awareness. I mean, how did you get into photography in the first place? Tell us a little bit about how you started out.
Okay, so at first, I just grew up loving watching documentaries on TV. And by doing so, I always wanted to go into the bush, do wildlife stuff. Until one time when I met up with Mike. Well, Mike came to my school and he taught me photography through wild shots. And I don't want to lie, Mike and Harriet have been like, I don't know, my parents. They have been guiding me throughout photography and teaching me about conservation. If I would say, like, I really appreciate their time giving me all these things and showing me out there. Photography has been one thing that I always wanted to do. And yeah, they gave me the opportunity. They showed me outside there and yeah.
Yeah, it's in such an amazing place to be able to go out and take photographs and connect with that kind of environment.
Yeah.
But Neville, I mean, if I can ask you frankly, when we see photographs coming out of Africa, I have to say the vast majority to this day are still taken by white people. Why is it so difficult for Black people to get into photography there?
Well, okay, with that, in South Africa, you still check. Remember, we had apartheid and, things were not going fine, And when you check right now, most people, they do want to go to the parks, but the problem is money, transport and all that. So it kind of becomes hard for them, to pay to go into the Kruger National Park, to pay. They need transport, they need money and all that, It's really kind of sad.
And tell us a bit about Wild Shots Outreach as well, because that, as you say, was instrumental in helping you, and it's a fantastic initiative that you've got running out there. And now you're back helping it.
Yes. So Wild Shots Outreach is an organization which was started by Mike, I think in 2015. It helps young Black people from local communities. They teach them about photography, and they take them with them. They take them into the local reserves, and it doesn't only teach about photography, it teaches about conservation too. And it's more like a link, They try and connect young people from, like they teach them photography and conservation, and then they link them to their jobs. If you can check, most of the students that did the Wild Shots course, you can find like most of them, they are working into conservation works, They get an opportunity to go teach outside there. They get to be photographers. Some of them, they're working into restaurants and lodges and stuff. So I believe Wild Shots, it's more like a link to conservation.
Yeah. And now that's you in the classroom. So having been a pupil, you've now turned teacher, which is great.
Yeah, I mean, looking back into 3 years back, I was a student in Wild Shots, and now I'm like helping Mike to teach other students. I mean, when you check, I always believe this, for one to try and understand, if you can take the students from the same school and try and teach other students, it's more inspirational, and people start being like, okay, this is effective, and start choosing it too. And for me, in my local communities, like most people, they look up to me. They'll be like, why are you into Wild Shots? You need to share the story. You need to teach them too, if that's possible. And yeah, as I said before, I just want to say thanks to Mike and Harriet for that great opportunity.
It's brilliant. Is there anything that our viewers can do to help? I mean, is there a place where they can donate equipment and those sorts of things?
Yeah, you can check up on the Wild Shots page. It's on Facebook, Wild Shots Outreach, and on Instagram too. You can check out that, and if possible, you can inbox Mike Hendrick. I believe that's the guy for you. Yeah.
I mean, there's always people with surplus camera equipment.
Yeah.
Camera technology is so rapidly changing now, although I've still got the same camera I've had for years, I like sticking with one camera that I know how to use. I'm not one for, unnecessarily updating. Some people change their camera every year, don't they? As soon as a new model comes out, they've got to change it for the latest one. I personally, and that does mean there's quite a lot of surplus equipment kicking about. So if any of our viewers do have that, it might be worth checking out that Facebook page, Wild Shots Outreach Facebook page, contacting Mike and seeing if you can't send that over there and put it into some eager young hands. But the thing is, Neville, you've also got a keen business interest, obviously, because you've started this thing, Young Photographers, with some of your mates. Tell us about that, because you're not only photographing wildlife, well, it might be wildlife, because you're doing weddings now as well.
I mean, I realized that when I'm at home back then, I couldn't afford to go to Kruger and other lodges. So what we did, I decided, you know what, why not? Let me start a young photographers business where we can make extra cash, for ourselves and learn more skills. So what we do is we go outside and we do weddings, parties, and stuff like that. And now that we are developing, and at the Young Photographers, most of the people are from Wild Shots. So we are now developing and we're doing videos too, and it's quite a good business, I can say.
You're a very busy person, Neville. You've got a lot going on.
That's brilliant.
It's incredible. I mean, so tell us a little bit about this new Big Five initiative then, because obviously we hear about the Big Five all the time and we think of those big megafauna, charismatic animals in Africa, but the new Big Five is looking at things a little bit differently.
Oh yeah, the new Big Five, it's one which started a few years ago, and the goal is to tell people that we shoot using the camera, not with guns, I think you should check out the link. I'll probably share the link with you guys so that people can go and check it out. People can send their pictures of their favorite animals, and then they can post in there and tell them their favorite Big Five, and you can share it, and you can still vote for the animals that you like in there. So it's a good initiative.
Yeah, it's a fantastic thing.
Go on then. I'm going to put you on the spot now. It's the trickiest question of all. I did say I wouldn't ask you any tricky questions, but this one's is the most difficult. If you had to pick a favourite, what would be your favourite animal to photograph?
Oof. Okay. That's a tough one. I mean, leopards are beautiful. A bit challenging though. You can find them most of the time. And rhinos too. They just have this iconic graphics. So I think I would recommend, I would say maybe a leopard. Let's say
Leopard.
Yeah, there's something quite charismatic about leopards.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
But elephants too are beautiful and majestic.
I told you it was a difficult question.
Yeah.
Exactly. I just don't know which one to choose now.
The worst questions are, what's your favorite? Because it's impossible to have a favorite, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what's coming next? What's next on the cards?
Okay, currently I'm in Cape Town studying at AFDA, filming. So my goal since showcase how important it is to save our rhinos, elephants, and pangolin, all these traffic animals. And I hope that one day I'll get the platform to showcase that, we need to save these animals. And
Yeah, great. I mean, you have had a bit of a platform because you've been off to Hong Kong, I understand, as well, talking about the problems of poaching out there as well.
Yeah. I went to Hong Kong after the award where I met one of my friends. He's the one who's running Elephant Foundation in Hong Kong. One thing that shocked me, so while I was in Hong Kong, we had to go around schools and talk about conservation and wildlife, and then I would show them my pictures and where I come from. So one interesting thing that I was shocked about is that most students, they didn't know that for people to get ivory, they had to kill elephants. They believe that ivory, tusk had to fall off and then people just come pick it up and then go make ivory with that. So I believe, with education, we can try and bring more awareness and teach more people about why we need to save our elephants and rhinos and stuff. So yeah, that's really kind of sad to check out, to see that people don't know much about elephants and rhinos, where all these things come from. There's one picture where I took, actually someone took me, I was holding a picture of a elephant. Behind me, there was like a rhino tusk, which is ivory. With that picture, I'm trying to show people that, you know what, tusks are for elephants, not human, So if we can try and have that movement and tell people that ivory is for elephants, not human beings, I think we can try by all means, to avoid using that,
Yeah, we can see that photo there. It's fantastic. It's very striking. Very striking. But go on then, last question, another quite tricky one. Africa is a remarkable continent, so varied in its habitats and range of species, is an understatement of enormous magnitude. Where would you most like to travel to in Africa?
Okay. So that one goal, I always want to go to Kenya because it's beautiful. That's a beautiful place. But South Africa too, it's beautiful. There's a lot of places I still want to go in South Africa. But yeah, definitely I would love to go to Kenya.
Yeah.
But really, I want to go there.
Paul Goldstein, a friend of ours, he was on this little broadcast that we do last week, Neville, and he runs, he owns one of the conservancies, which is alongside the Masai Mara National Park. It's absolutely stuffed with wildlife. Yeah. And I tell you the one thing, I have been fortunate enough to go there. I've never seen so many leopards in all my living life. Seriously, every time you go out,
you're just tripping over leopards.
There are leopards. I know, it's bonkers. In daylight, up trees. He was showing us some of his beautiful photographs last week. Got this one of a startling shot of a leopard up a tree with this really thundery sky behind. Just sort of tattooed into my mind. I'm never going to forget it now. And I was quite mean about it in terms of the photograph, but it was absolutely striking. Maybe you and Paul should get together.
Yeah.
Wow, I really appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, like, you're telling me about leopards too. Wow. Yeah, I mean, Kenya has been one of those places that I want to go to. It's just beautiful. And their climax is just something else too. Yeah.
Excellent. Listen, Neville, thanks ever so much for joining us. Good luck with your work. And, and again, if any of our viewers have any equipment, binoculars, lenses, cameras, with the chargers, with decent batteries, with some cards, all the kit, then do go to that Wild Shots Outreach Facebook page, contact Mike, Neville's mentor, and see what we can send out there. Good luck with the teaching, Neville, and good luck with your messaging.
Yeah, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Neville. It's been lovely to talk to you.
Yeah, great, fantastic.
Enjoy the sunshine.
Yeah, enjoy the sunshine. Yeah, leave us here in our puffer jackets. Yeah.
There's actually some showers outside right now. I'm not gonna go outside until it stops. So yeah.
Fair enough.
Cheers, Neville.
Thanks, Neville. See you soon.
Bye. Oh, great story.
We've had some amazing guests from Africa, haven't we? And I have just itchy feet. Are you getting itchy feet?
Want to go back to Africa?
Yeah.
Not now the spring's coming here. I've got to say, I'm really getting excited about what's going on here.
Yeah, I do. I do love the spring.
The other thing to check out is that new Big Five website.
Yes.
You can go there. Jane Goodall, lots of fantastic photographers from around the world. Brett Sturton's on there. There's too many to mention, to be honest with you. And the purpose is to look at the photographs, upload some of your own photographs if you like, and vote for a new Big Five. Global, not African, not being trophy hunted, being photographed is the key thing. Now look, I picked this up in the garden yesterday, and it's a little chaffinch, female chaffinch, which is I found it like this in the garden. Well, to be quite honest with you, that's not entirely true. I found it because poodles were sniffing at it, and it's a lovely animal. I've always had a sort of I won't say it's perverse, but liking for finding dead birds like this. I'd much rather it was alive, of course. But it does just give you the opportunity to look at it. And I remember being a child and looking. I mean, look at the delicacy of those feathers on that wing there, and the neatness and the sheer beauty. And as a child, I didn't have binoculars, and as a consequence, birds I couldn't engage with very well because I couldn't touch them. They would fly away. They were hard to engage with when I was very young. So as a consequence of that, when I used to find the occasional dead one that had been hit by a car or something, it was a unique opportunity to study it in a way that I wasn't able to study it when it was alive. And Yeah, look at that, and there's the tail
Stunning,
of
isn't
the
it?
of the birds. It's very, very beautiful indeed, isn't it? Very beautiful indeed. Anyway, it's a shame it's died. The question is, of course, how did it die and why did it die? Without sort of full post-mortem conducted by someone with veterinary skills, we may not know. But I just wanted the reason I'm showing you the chaffinch is to just tell you a bit about this BTO site they've got at the moment. The disease that it might have died from is a thing called Tricomonas. Trichomonasis. Trichomonasis. I could never get that one out. Anyway, it's a name given to a disease caused by a protozoan parasite. It's been recorded in a number of garden bird species and is widely acknowledged to be the causal factor in the rapid decline of the British greenfinch population that was first noted in the summer of 2006. Although it's known in pigeons, doves and birds of prey, it was first noticed in British finches in the early 2000s, epidemics in 2006 and 7, and smaller scale mortality events in subsequent years. Greenfinches and chaffinches are affected, but it's also been seen in other species, house sparrows, darnet, great tit and siskin. Now, it's a disease of the back of the throat and the gullet, and very often it's called a fat finch disease, which is easier to say, I have to say. Fat finch disease, because the birds, when they become ill, sort of fluff themselves up. They move slowly around at the base of the feeder. I haven't seen them doing that here, but it says the critical point I want to get to is what you can do. So our chaffinch population is in dire trouble. Their population has fallen by a quarter in just 5 years. So the chaffinch,
in a short space of time,
essentially a very common bird, has declined by 25% in just 5 years, and it could be down to this disease. So the BTO have a Chaffinch Appeal running at the moment. You can find details of that, bto.org, Chaffinch Appeal. And they're appealing for information to better understand this. Anyway, if you happen to see fat finches beneath your feeders, you need to do what I've been doing for the last few weeks, and that is to move your feeders, if you can, from one spot to another. It says here, rotate positions of feeders in the garden to prevent the buildup of contamination in any one area of ground below the feeders, because the chaffinches are feeding on the ground. Normally, I mean, they will go to the feeders themselves, but most of the time they're picking up what the goldfinches chuck on the ground. Empty and air dry any bird baths on a daily basis, and you may want to consider stop feeding if you have an outbreak of the disease at your feeding station in an attempt to force the birds to feed elsewhere at lower density, although in the end they may end up visiting another feeding station and one where no hygiene measures are in place. It's really difficult. We want to feed the birds in our garden. We want to, encourage them and increase their numbers, help them get through the winter. But if you do see fat finches beneath your feeder, there's a very good chance that this disease is there. So firstly, move the feeder, make sure there's not too much. It's the thing is with the parasite, it can't withstand desiccation, so it doesn't like the outside world. It has to be produced, it has to be passed saliva to saliva. So that's basically, if a greenfinch is on the feeder and it picks up a seed and it weighs it in its beak and it drops it on the ground with some saliva on, and then a chaffinch picks it up, that's how it gets the parasite, and it needs to do it quite quickly. So by rotating the feeders, you can reduce that. And as for this bird, I mean, it's so difficult to say. I didn't see it.
Underweight, isn't it?
It is underweight. I can feel the keel there, the breastbone of the bird. So it's definitely underweight, which suggests that it's perished through being in poor condition. And also around the beak, I don't know if you can just about see, it's got quite a little dirty little beak there. With stuff stuck to it, and that is another sign of this disease, because very often the birds dribble a bit when they've got the disease. Keep an eye out. Quarter of chaffinches gone in just that period of time.
Very sad, but obviously some great tips there about what you can do to reduce the impact of that in your gardens if you do see it. So now I think we need a bit of a mindfulness moment after that.
Yeah.
A mindfulness moment. We love these. And of course, many of you have been submitting them to us, and you can submit mindfulness moments if you go out and about, just a clip on your phone. If you see anything that's beautiful, you can send it in and we'll show it on one of our broadcasts. But this one comes from David Smith, and it was shared on our SIBC Facebook group of a murmuration. So let's have a look at this. Beautiful, isn't it?
Stunning.
I love a murmuration.
Yeah, I love an urban one as well, though.
Yeah.
Often we see them in rural locations now, but they used to be so common.
Yeah.
I remember in the 70s when I were a
Back
lad,
in my day.
when I were a lad, get it right, when I were a lad, sort of appalling northern accent, unnecessary.
Yeah, appalling actually.
Anyway, Trafalgar Square, not Trafalgar Square, sorry, Leicester Square.
Leicester Square.
Absolutely rammed full
Was
of it was full of starlings. They in the
Would
winter
love to have seen
there were
that.
trees there, absolutely stuffed with them. And then they decided they didn't like all the poo on Leicester Square, so they cut all the branches out of the trees, so the starlings had nowhere to land.
Nice.
Now they're gone, of course.
Nice.
Not good, is it?
I love humans sometimes. It's nice.
Not always. Hey, listen, you may be wondering what's happened to the. You know what?
What?
I love these, but I can't at this time of day.
Yeah, I know. It's what time is it? Nearly 10.
Still too early.
It's too early for
These
them.
are an evening snack.
They're an
me.
evening treat.
See this packet? This by 6:30 this evening.
Gone.
History. Me and the poods. Absolutely gone.
That is rabbit food, surely. This one.
Look at this one.
It's got a rabbit on it.
This is a new one.
Banana rice cake.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'll be eating that.
Hold on,
one.
I'm just going to tell you about this one. It's got
great.
banana. It's got banana in it and rice cake. Is it suitable for vegans?
Yes.
Let's have a look. I'm organic.
Of course it's suitable.
Please
for
reseal
vegans.
me. Hold on. No junk. No artificial
I swear
colours.
this is for Charlotte spoke about this and she said it was for rabbits. So if you
no,
eat this,
it's not. It's ideal finger food. Rabbits don't have fingers.
For rabbits.
Approximately 8 portions. It's a prize-winning snack here. Banana rice cakes, actual size. Got a little diagram there. Look, there's the
size.
actual size. There we are. Actual size.
Sure.
It's got a reseal thing on the back there. Gluten-free flavour, vegetarian and vegan friendly. It's quite small, but it's on the back there. So I'm not actually a fan of bananas or any fruit. Actually, I don't eat fruit, but I will be trying these tonight. I'm giving the organics banana rice cakes, just to prove that other snacks are available, not just eat real lentil chips.
Right, let's get on to a serious matter now, shall we? Sorry about that.
Sorry,
we lost internet.
A little bit of hiatus there.
We
Obviously,
lost
in the extremely remote.
Everyone's fed up talking about banana rice cakes and lentil chips.
Yeah, but in the extremely remote New Forest, it's like as remote as the Amazon basin, parts of Mongolia, the
moon,
the moon and Mars. Do you know what? That rover on Mars has got better broadband speed than we've got here.
Anyway, you'll be going on this topic for ages. So
I will.
Let's get on to...
Elon Musk came round Wednesday.
Oh, yeah, no, look, no.
Elon Musk came round on Wednesday.
No, I've heard this conversation. The reason why I'm responding the way it is because Chris has been saying this for the past 2 weeks about Elon Musk. Every conversation I have with Chris, it's like, Elon Musk's coming round. It's like, all right.
Elon turned up on Wednesday. I thought for a minute I was going to get some satellite internet, but unfortunately it needs to be reconfigured.
Right, let's get on to a topic which everybody really, cares about significantly. Freddos. So in the break, we went on to a Freddo chat earlier on, which was unexpected. And in the break, when we were looking at Matt Gould's film, I found a graph about the inflation of prices of the Freddo, and I sent it to Fabian. Fabian, put up the graph.
Let's have a look.
It's unbelievable. So in 2000, it was 10p. It was 10p, right? The graph is coming. You won't be missing out on that. It's coming. It's on its way. In 2005, it was still 10p, right? 2010, guess the price.
10p.
17p. 17. And then 2015, guess the price then.
18.
25. 25. 2020, guess the price it's at now.
What was it before?
25.
25 pence.
It was, yeah.
In
In 2015, it's 25. 2020, what is it?
28 pence.
35.
35
It was 35p today.
Oh, hold on. So
in 2021, a Freddo is 25p.
So, okay, so it's gone up from in 2005.
Yeah.
So in 15 years,
it's gone up 25p. And guess the predicted for 2030.
The predicted price of a Freddo.
Predicted price for Freddo for 2030.
I don't know.
53p. So it's on average a 5.72% increase every single year. And in fact, Tesco, right, was so upset about, I think they were fed up of everyone moaning about the increased price of a Freddo, that in 2019, for 1 week only, they reduced the price to 10p. I would have gone out and just multi-bought Freddos.
I've never bought a Freddo. I was unaware of the existence of Freddo. I don't believe that.
Now
Freddo
you have been enlightened.
It's not vegan chocolate.
It's not vegan chocolate.
It's not on my menu.
But it would have been.
I mean, I'm not unsympathetic to the fans of Freddo. I'm terribly sorry that your chocolate snack has is it just chocolate or is it?
It's chocolate, yeah.
Just solid chocolate.
Yeah.
It's just solid chocolate.
Just solid chocolate, but it's really good solid chocolate. It's like, I don't know, Freddo chocolate is just good chocolate, isn't it? It's just good. And if it's happening to Freddo's, I can't even begin to think what's happening to Mr. Whippy.
We've had a very nice letter. I'm just going to read it out here. Dear Chris and Megan, thank you for all of your support with the Love Minsmere campaign. You helped us reach over 104,000 people speaking up for nature. We wanted to say thank you by sending you a limited edition Love Minsmere pin badge. It'd be great if you can take a picture of your pin and post it. We'll certainly be doing that. And it's come from Oriel and the Love Minsmere team. Here's our Love Minsmere badges.
Love the badge.
Yeah, they're
really cool, actually, aren't they?
They are cool, yeah.
What's different birds?
Really good, yeah. They sort of whipped that idea off of me for my Love Life badge. Yeah, sort of squeezing all the birds. Yeah, very keen, and very happy about that, of course. Very happy. Obviously the Sizewell expansion. Yeah. Nuclear power station on the side of one of the best nature reserves that we've got in the country, right up there. I have to say, fabulous, absolutely beautiful fabulous place. Thank you to all of those 104,000 people who've raised their concerns about the activities of expanding that nuclear power station alongside the much loved Minsmere. And of course, get them when you can. They're limited edition. I don't know how many they're limited to.
I don't know, but they're great, aren't they?
Probably not just our two. But we're very pleased with those. So thanks, Oriel and the Love Minsmere team. Yeah, thank you very much. Do you know what we should do? No. We should make a Love Freddo campaign. Oh. Anyway, let's move on to something else. I'll stop going on about it now. Quiz reveal. Let's have a little look at it again. So many of you guessed correctly in that it's a vertebrae. Of course, it is a very distinctive shape. Let me just get up the list of everyone who's kind of responded. Now, it was a tricky one. Now, 3 people have got this right. So Ian says it was a fish vertebrae. Simon says porpoise or dolphin. There's lots of people that do say dolphin. And then Maz says dogfish. Elaine says porpoise. Fish vertebrae, skate tail. And Yvonne says vertebrae of a shark, which, dogfish are sharks. Now, it is, of course, a vertebrae.
and it does belong to the elasmobranch group. When I say elasmobranch, what I'm talking about are sharks, skates, and rays. So because of the size of this vertebrae, I would guess that it does belong to a dogfish, which is a small
You're going
type of
dogfish,
shark.
eh?
I'm going dogfish.
Not ray.
No, I'm going dogfish.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm definitely going dogfish. And the reason you can tell the difference between normal vertebrae and the vertebrae
Bony
of an
fish.
elasmobranch, yes, bony fish,
Yeah.
is that elasmobranchs, sharks, skates, and rays don't have any bone. So this vertebrae is made entirely out of cartilage, and you can see all of the gaps in the side of the vertebrae there, which is where the blood vessels would go through. And it's much frailer. When you feel it, it's just thinner. You can see the size there. So it's definitely got a very different feel to bone. It's slightly more rough around the edges. So yeah, this is the vertebrae of an elasmobranch.
3 people got that right.
I would guess dogfish, but I'm not 100% sure.
3 people said that was a dogfish vertebrae.
One person said dogfish. Other people say fish vertebrae and vertebrae of a shark. So
one person got it right.
One person said dogfish, but I mean, I'm only hazarding a guess there.
Okay. It's just that I said it was a really tricky quiz and only one person got it right. So
No, more than one person got it right, because someone said vertebrae of a shark.
Okay.
And sharks are dogfish.
I want to do a massive shout out to Rebecca Warren now. I want to do a massive shout out to Rebecca Warren.
Yeah.
Rebecca Warren has come to my rescue, and I'm greatly indebted to you, Rebecca. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Excellent, thank you. You might be wondering what Rebecca's done that has brought me so much glee in the freezing New Forest here. Rebecca has contacted us and said, sorry, what's a Freddo? Exactly.
Rebecca.
Exactly.
Get yourself down to a little co-op.
Thanks, Rebecca.
Get yourself down to Tesco.
Hey.
Buy yourself a Freddo. It's in the chocolate section.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
a little chocolate bar, and it's the very good milk chocolate. If
Hey.
you're not vegan, it's very good milk chocolate.
Now listen, we've been sent these t-shirts as well. There's your one.
Oh, hello. Yes,
Yeah.
I like these.
Yeah, they're great. We
Boss hog.
were asked to wear them, but I mean, frankly,
It's
at
been
-1, we do anything for most people. We do anything for most people. We try to be as giving as we can to support people's endeavours, particularly their conservation endeavours. So here are our lovely t-shirts from Climate Action North. I would be very keen to point you to their website. Climate Action North, it says here, is a community interest company that are set up to take action on the climate crisis for the benefit of communities and businesses across the north of England. I visited them a couple of years ago now, it must be, in Newcastle. Fantastic group of people involved with all sorts of initiatives and working really closely with businesses there, both to encourage them to think more closely about being environmentally sound and sustainable, but also celebrating those that are already taking those steps, which is something that's really important. Got a couple of things going on. They've got a rewilding conference, Bees and Trees, on the 19th of March, which is, of course, in the virtual scheme of things, as everything is now. They've got Isabella Tree from NEP is going to be talking there. Izzy from NEP, she's absolutely brilliant. And all of the monies that they raise will be going to charities which support tree planting initiatives and pollinators and planting for pollinators. So you can check out their website, and it's climatenortheast.org.uk. Thank you very much for our t-shirts. We will be putting them on probably in June, or July, or August. I like my one though. It's my colour. I'm into I'm into the mustard.
Be more tree. You're quite tree.
I'm massively tree. Do you know how many trees I planted this week?
A lot.
I've just been
You've been planting trees
sticking
everywhere.
trees in the ground. Like, I mean, I'm like a one-man forestry commission down there at the moment. I'm seriously like a one-man forestry commission.
I like mine. Boss hog.
I'm gonna tell you how many trees we planted. We planted 75 hazel. We've planted 80 holly. We've planted 10 rowan, 6 birch, 2 sweet chestnut, 1 hawthorn, 1 horse chestnut. I mean, I could go on.
Yeah, you could.
We're really putting trees in the ground down here.
You are.
Birthdays?
No, it's been lots of people's birthdays, of course. So we wanted to wish everyone a very happy birthday. So we've got Jan Clark, who is 47 tomorrow. Very happy birthday to you, Jan. Hope you have a fantastic day. Emily would like to wish Paul a very happy birthday. It's also Will's birthday on the 10th and his mum's on the 13th. So nice and close together. Hope you're able to celebrate in some way or another. It's Jackie's daughter Sam's 21st birthday tomorrow. Jackie and Sam watch SIBC together via Zoom every week. That's lovely, isn't it? coming together via Zoom to watch it. That's very sweet. Thank you very much, and very happy birthday. We've got Jess and Bex wants to wish their amazing mum Joyce a very happy birthday too. Vanessa wrote in for Adrian, whose birthday is on Tuesday. Happy birthday to you, Adrian. It's Brian's 50th birthday on the 12th of March. He's never missed an episode and is a big fan. Honestly, I'm so amazed by the amount of people who have never missed an episode. I'm so grateful to all of you. Thank you so much and very happy birthday, Brian. And we've got a belated birthday for Keith Smith, whose birthday was last week. And according to Debbie, it's the last one in his 50s.
Wow.
Yeah.
So he was 50, 59 then?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know.
The laptop is gone dead, so we've had to quickly re-upload Zoom on our phone. Sorry about that, everyone. Way to end the show.
Do you know what? I mean, for how many people have voted for their elected representatives because they were promised rural broadband? You know, this current government, it was part of their manifesto that they were going to roll out rural broadband so that we could all have equality of, ability to engage with the 21st century. But they've reneged on that. And as a consequence of that, we're now talking to you through 2 bars of 4G.
On a mobile phone.
On a mobile phone. Anyway, there we are. Listen,
needs must. Anyway,
yes, right. So,
what have we got coming up next week?
Next week, well, we've got Amir Khan on next week. He's a man who thinks he can put some moves together. He can certainly move when it comes to helping the NHS. He's done an absolutely brilliant job of keeping us up to date with everything that goes there. He's a tireless worker. He's also very, very keen on his wildlife. Spends a lot of time in his back garden, and he'll be talking to us about his love for that and the way that it gives him, enormous respite from the stresses and strains of being a GP. He's a fantastic bloke. I mean, we're really pleased that he's coming on, but he does think that he can dance, which is just a joke. I've seen him. He does karaoke Friday nights. Yeah, I know, but I mean, frankly, it's just all like this. You know? No, you're like that. No, he's better than next week. Amir, I'm going to teach. There's nothing, that he couldn't teach me about the anatomy of the human body and treating its ills, because he's a doctor, but he's not a dancer. And next week, I'm going to put him in his place. I'm going to show him how to move. Yeah, there has been this kind of talk on Twitter where they both challenged each other to dance off. Yeah. I'm going to be ill next week. Why? Because you'll be dancing. Oh, right. Okay. And so, yeah. Also, we've got young entrepreneur Matt Giles next week, and he's showcasing his new app, Chaffinch, which identifies wild bird song from your phone. And that would be an enormous asset to many people, helping teach them wild bird song, which is tricky. We've always admitted that. It's really, really tricky. So we'll be back at 9 o'clock next Sunday. Sun's come out now. Sun's come out now, isn't it? Thanks very much. Just when it needed to warm up. So 9 o'clock next Sunday, and we will do everything we can to overcome the incapacities of the New Forest broadband. Well, it's not broadband, it's like dial-up, isn't it? It's an absolute fiasco. Do you know what we've got? We've got 2 megabytes down and 0.9 megabyte up. That's what we're dealing with here. just to get technical, you can go on about your Freddos. I'm going on about my banana snacks. But if you want to have an extended conversation about the absolute paucity and appalling quality of rural broadband in the south of England, I'm your man.
You know, the quality of our SIBC broadcasts content. It's just...
No, I think there's probably lots of our viewers that are probably in rural areas and can't get decent broadband.
Yeah, but it's just us rambling on and moaning.
Do you know what? You get better signal just about anywhere in the world. I've been in the jungles of Sumatra and the plains of Africa, and I've got better signal.
Anyway, next week we'll be back at the same time, 9 a.m. on Sunday. And make sure you click subscribe if you haven't done already, so you can sign up to our YouTube. Anyway, we are going to go back and leave you with the beautiful sight of a tawny owl, I believe. So Chris has signed out. Until next week, we'll see you then. Bye.